Now, join me in welcoming the guest that we have today on Frontline Breakfast TV show. He is no other person than Mr. Amos Paul. Mr. Amos, good morning, and you're welcome to Frontline TV Breakfast Show.
Thank you, Mr. Good morning, everyone.
All right, now let's begin with the root causes of insecurity. The insecurity that we are witnessing today. What will you say are these insecurity experiences that we have today? Not only in Taraba, but in Nigeria.
Well, as we all know, the insecurity is all about not having a relatively peaceful environment where you can thrive and carry out your activities. So when you are talking of what think about it, well, I will tell you one thing for sure. It's a situation where you cannot sleep with your eyes closed. Because everywhere you go to now in Nigeria, there's one crisis or the other that is bedeviling everyone. Everyone is thinking of how do I safeguard myself in this particular situation? How do I make sure I keep my family safe? Because we can't even run to the law enforcement officers because we're scared. We don't even know where it's coming from. Because the problem is increasing, just like you mentioned, from the banditry, kidnapping, and then also terrorism. All these things are happening within this country, which of course makes people become sleepless. Forgetting about all other crises happening, but this is a major thing because no matter you are, whether you are a bourgeois or just a common man, there's something that is common that is affecting us. That's the insecurity. So peace is not what we're having again. So looking at it, you see that people tend to try to look for where they can enjoy and have peace. Now you made a relationship with Taraba to an extent. That of Taraba has come down a bit. I won't say completely because some days back I had a friend and a neighbor complaining that in the middle of the night some boys came with knives and cutlasses and then not even a rifle but knives and cutlasses, and then they made them to lie down and they packed everything they could pick from the house. So the issue is that insecurity has become something that you ask yourself, can you trust the people that are supposed to provide that security for you? Because I cannot say how big is Taraba that we cannot have people that will be able to take care of all these silent points and silent areas in the state. So that is one thing I want to look at. All over the Federation, we lack that position of having peace of mind to sleep peacefully. Not even talking of the one that happens in the afternoon. That one is something else in some areas. Places like Lagos, in Abuja, they're even moving. Even in broad daylight, someone will just come to you in traffic and point a rifle, a pistol at you and tell you, just give me. And women have been going through something that as you're driving, if you don't wind up, sorry, if you don't have an AC, so just get an AC. If you don't wind up, you just come to your neck and they pull the very wonderful necklace you have, and then they reach out and pick your handset and walk away. What can you do? Would you shout? That's the question. Because next thing they will harm you.
Now, the root causes. Is it poverty? Is it peer group? Is it politics? Is it religion? The root causes that brought about insecurity in Nigeria.
Now, when you talk of root causes, you're mentioning them for me. Thank you for giving me that insight because Nigeria is a vast nation with people that, let me even go down to some memory lane and something that people go to school and come out and not have anything to do. Well, we are grateful now that entrepreneurship is being taught around, that people tend to understand what entrepreneurship is. Try to start your own business without waiting for government to support you. But the major thing is that people are jobless. And by the time people are jobless, they begin to think of how to survive. There is another adage that says, even if it is a cockroach, if a cockroach, you push it to the wall, it turns and begins to think of how do I bite this thing or harm this thing that is pushing me to the wall. People have been pushed to the wall. So many people are educated. They're thinking of, now look at the Yahoo boys on the increase. Everything to make fast money is there. Well, if you don't think that is part of the criminal acts that are going on in the country, it is. You're not safe. So basically, there is no job. There is nothing to do. And people have not decided to open up their minds and thinking of the ways out of this. Just like you said, it's one of the factors. And then let me say another thing. Political thuggery is one major issue that is increasing the role of bandits in our country.
And it's a major cause.
It's a major cause because there are some people that one way or the other were brought into the country. There was a time, if you look at Nigeria, no, we didn't know anything about insecurity. Not even the crime rate was less, and insecurity was not even there. But the next thing, some things were imported into the country, and then of course, They could not control them, because you can't tell me that even if you employ me today, there will be a level that it will reach. When you give me that level of freedom, you cannot control what I do again. And that's what's happening. These guys cannot be controlled. They said, leave the country. They cannot leave, and they're not willing to leave. And they've been inviting other people to come. Look at this. Is it Lakura, or is that? I've forgotten the name of these people in Sokoto and Kebbi. A sect that just came in from Niger. They're terrorizing the country. They were invited into Nigeria, and now they're invited, but they came, they settled, they take over towns, and then they control the people there. They are the judge, the jury, and everything, and people have to listen to them. You have to obey them. And then they go back, commit all the crime they want to do in Niger, and come back again and hide in Nigeria. But the issue is that, why are we looking at them? Is it that we do not have what it takes? So basically, we have porous borders that is causing the insecurity also. And just like I said, the poverty level, and then people have tend to understand that going to school is not just the way out. There are ways that they can do to survive, because they said, do me, I do you. Man, no go vex. So they try to find a way to survive. It's called survival of the fittest.
You mentioned something earlier, Mr. Amos. You talked about unemployment.
Yeah.
It was one of the major causes, right?
Yeah.
Poverty. You talked about porous borders. I want you to shed more light on this issue of weak institutions. Proliferation of arms is also there. It can also be
Yes.
one of the major.
That's the border.
Yeah, the borders. And in some cases, ethnic and religious tension. Lack of proper intelligence gathering contributes also significantly. Do you agree with that?
No.
Why?
Because we have very good intelligence reports in Nigeria. If you have the opportunity of going to our security agencies and see the kind of security reports they receive, you will be shocked and overwhelmed and say, how come we have this kind of things in Nigeria? We have things in Nigeria that can pinpoint some particular things if they want to see them in this country. We have some particular gadgets that can bring out the minute things that you don't expect that can come out. But the issue is that, are we ready to take this to the next level? We tell you we don't have these things. We have what it takes. Our intelligence network is wonderful, because we have people highly trained, highly skilled, and Nigeria sends even special forces in the armed forces of Nigeria to go outside and train how to combat terrorism. And these guys are very good. I had the privilege of discussing with one of them, and he told me some things that I cannot say on air. I was like, wow, this is serious. For goodness sake, you are trained, but then you pin down, you're not supposed to do some things, and you have the intelligence report. And you know that if you want to take down these people, you have to use some particular means and ways. They have what it takes. Have you gone to Nigerian police? Nigerian police, if you go to our force headquarters, there are some things, some gadgets they have up there, that whatever they want to find in Nigeria, they find it for you and tell you it is in so place and give you the distance. It's unfortunate, like when the Chibok girls were kidnapped, were taken hostage in Borno State. It was United States government that was showing us on drones that here your girls are going.
And
But
this is the
if
route
you,
that
yes,
you can follow.
that you can follow. But if I bet you with everything I have that not that we could not do that, we can do it. All it takes is just a particular device to pick a particular thing from there. Because I was privileged to meet a military officer who was part of the people that followed subsequently, and then he even got injured. It was in the process he was telling me what happened. I was looking at him and scared. He said yes, there was a bullet that ricocheted and hit him, and from then he had been having some spinal cord injuries. Has he been taken care of?
So Nigeria has all it takes.
Nigeria has everything it takes, because we are the fathers of everything in Africa. But the issue is that, how serious are we in managing the situation? If you think we don't have arms, there was a time that some of these people were captured, and most of the arms they were using are from Nigeria, not imported, from our paramilitary and armed forces. I was privileged to meet someone in Adamawa State during the time of Boko Haram that he asked me personally for screwdriver. I said, what are you going to do with it? I was just looking at him. He said, I want to pieces this rifle and take it back to the barracks. I am not fighting again. So what do you think? He said, we have not been provided with the right equipment. It's not that we don't have it. I was privileged to speak to someone again who has been to Sokoto. You've heard of the issues in Zamfara State. He was there. He told me about the kind of weapons they had in their brigade, but it had not reached them on the field. And look at this issue. These guys, they ride on motorcycles. And one thing is that the average Fulani man who fights on motorcycles is not as bold as the average Kanuri man and the Boko Haram man that comes from the northeast. Because these ones are bold, they are not afraid. Whatever you're having, they come out. But those ones, when they see you carrying heavy weapons, they turn their motorcycles and go away. Tell me, then what is it that we cannot fight these particular people on their motorcycles?
Now, there's a question I really want to ask. Where did we get it wrong? Being that Nigeria has all what it takes to nip all these things in the bud, where did we get it wrong?
Let me start from somewhere. If you look at it right now, you find out that we're in 2025, right? But already, our politicians are planning for 2027. What have they done on ground? What is on ground? To show you that we have misplaced priorities in so many areas. If we don't get our priorities right, then we'll never get it properly. Do the right thing. Give the instructions. Tell them this is what you want to do. And then they are going to clear whatever it takes for them to clear. All it takes is instructions. As far as I'm concerned, from what I have seen in the security forces of Nigeria, we have what it takes. Unfortunately, it got to a time that the armed forces were sending boys that just graduated from depot to the front line to go and fight. For what? There's no experience. If you don't have an experience, how can you go and fight terrorism? You need to train people properly. And then the issue is that they will say, no manpower. What are you doing? Why not get the experienced ones to be at the front? Let those ones learn from the back end. It's not like we cannot do it. We can do it. All it takes is proper planning and dedication to what it takes. If we get our priorities right, we'll curtail every problem we have. Like, I was privileged to be in Adamawa some weeks back. I saw an advert that the state governor wanted to employ 12,000 youths. For what? Teaching, health sector, and one other sector, I think. I've forgotten the third one. He was employing 12,000 people. Now, they've
Judiciary.
Judiciary. Okay. Now, they've already written their exams, some areas. They're going to write exams, then they will face interviews, and then they'll be given the job. Fine. Good move. We are even taking the level of entrepreneurship to another level. Fine. Good news. But the issue is that if you ask me one thing that will sustain Nigeria and take away insecurity properly is one, make sure that we utilize what we have on ground. We have arable land, beautiful land. Expect every youth that is up to the age to learn how to go to the farm and then farm and get something in his money, in his pocket. Have you realized that the average village man that farms, you see a small boy coming from the farm carrying like 12 to 15 million in his pocket, coming to the town to spend it without wisdom. Without wisdom. And then some will be looking at him who are jobless and they are trying to see how they can steal from him. Now, this young man has worked hard on the farm. He has tilled the land. What does it take, Musa? It takes you to be hardworking. And all we have to do is to bring up everybody and teach them. Do what is right, and we're going to support you, and then we're going to make the nation better. It's not, the change must start from you and me. If we're able to pick somebody and make a difference, if you have that grace and you have that space and you know what it takes to help somebody, do it. Because that is how you start breeding criminals. Because your surrounding affects you. There are some areas in Taraba we're talking about that these boys are groomed by people that are older than them. Take them to prison. They are groomed by professionals. And what is your crime? I stole granite. You are done. They will beat him up and teach him how to steal a house. So that is how bad the society is. Until we find a way to correct these things from the government sector, and then we can make a difference.
All right, in case if you're just joining us, you're watching Frontline Breakfast TV show. And we've been talking about insecurity for some minutes now. We've been shedding more light on this issue of insecurity and the causes, the major causes of insecurity in Nigeria today and also in Taraba. But I want to ask my guest a very simple question, though it may be a little bit technical. Politics. What does politics, the role, what does it play? What role does it play when it comes to this issue of insecurity?
When you said politics, you made me go back to the basics. You know, every married man is a politician. Everybody that is married is a politician, because you can't keep your wife at home if you're not a politician, or keep more than one wife at home if you're not a politician. You must play the game. So that game has come a long way. Now, going higher into the field of the politics of the nation, our politicians have come to understand something, that they need security and they need boys that are going to work for them when it comes to so many issues. And I'm sorry to say, at times it becomes violent in the sense that you hire people and tell them to go against. That's why you said something about religion and ethnicity, and I refuse to go into it because I expected you to ask something like this. So the average politician will come to the local area and brainwash the people and make them understand that these people are not your own. These ones are not your own. Do your own, I am your own. And then the average man, I will not call him now somebody that is not literate. The average man will say, yes, he has spoken my language. He has spoken my religion. And then he will continue to follow this person. And then he can take up arms for this person who will sit down peacefully in his house, not knowing what is happening outside. So you can see the major role that it has started. And some of them, when they get armed, after election, what do you think they're going to do? Because the politician is going to dump them. Or do you think the politician can fund them forever and ever? No, he cannot. That's the moment when they begin to take up the arms and go into the streets and make a lot of destruction. So we continue to hear ethnic cleansing, ethnic problems, and then religious crisis. Where do you think it started from? Go back through history. It did not start from there. It started from politics. Politics in the sense that from the 60s, let me take you back to the 60s. Let me tell you how it started from between the North and the South. How the politics of the region started, and then it kept on increasing until today it's becoming dirtier and dirtier. Not that those people did not work, but they used that game to win what they wanted. The issue of the five majors. How they come? They say we're from the eastern part of Nigeria. The North has marginalized us. They're talking of the premier himself. The premier was a little bit marginalistic in the sense that he considered his people more than the others, which of course people always say, it must happen. Because you see someone, when he becomes a member of House of Reps or a senator or something, the first people you consider are his family members and the people from his village. So that is what is affecting Nigeria and corrupting us every day. I was privileged during my time, maybe I was lucky, that when I applied for everything, I could not get that quota system, but they followed the issue of how good are you? And I was able to get what I wanted. But now I found out that there's the quota system, there is the religious system, there's the ethnicity system, and there is where are you from? These things are affecting us, and it is eating into us that some people will tell themselves that I better pick up the life of crime and go on, since nobody is interested in what I do in this country.
Now, all those ones, they're attributes of insecurity.
Insecurity and politics brought it up.
Now, some people in certain quarters have been arguing that impunity and lack of prosecution of criminals is also a major factor. You understand? Because when crime, goes unpunished, there's a way it sends a wrong signal. You understand? It emboldens the perpetrators and discourages community cooperation. How would you react to that?
Now you mentioned something, impunity, and all that comes with it. Musa, let's go down memory lane. Who is working in Nigeria? Nobody is working. If you ask me, corruption has taken over the bane of everything in Nigeria. Even when you hit the gravel, so much corruption is taking place there that some of them have people that when they are arrested, it takes a phone call and that person is free. As you mentioned it, let me share a story with you. Still a member of the special forces that told me this story. He said, we will arrest them, we will take them. Next thing, the people in the town that gave us information will tell us, why are you wicked? These same people that we told you about are now roaming on the streets. Don't you think they will attack us? He said he was baffled. How is this happening? We arrested people that are maiming and killing others, and yet they are walking the streets again. So they took it upon themselves. This is just a group that took it upon themselves that when they get these criminals, when they take them, because they know these people are Boko Haram members, when they take them behind town, they say, we're moving them to Abuja. On the road, they shoot them because they know the moment they even get there, phone calls will follow. Just like I said, some people are behind all these things. So basically, what is happening? Are you safe to say that inside the house there's a thief? You're not safe, because the moment that person is being set free, what's going to happen to you?
You're the next target.
You are the one. So everybody will sit down and keep his mouth shut and say, let it continue. And that is how the crime rate keeps on increasing, because nobody is ready to report the criminal unless, that's why some people believe in jungle justice, which of course I don't support it. Let the law take place. But if you ask me, talk of the reforms in prison. Does the prison really reform people? That's the question you should ask yourself. Does the prison really reform people? There are some people that live in VIPs in prison. You in your house, I'm sure you don't live as large and as good as they do. So what are we saying? What are we preaching to the people in the society? How can we change crime? How can we stop crime unless we take the right system to know how to correct every wrong criminal in the right way?
I still have Amos Paul, and in no distant time, we'll be wrapping up this edition of the program, Frontline TV Breakfast Show. But before I let him go because of time, I want to ask a question, Amos Paul. How would you rate the government's response to these security threats so far? As my concluding question.
Well, personally, just like I've been saying my views, personally, I'm not really impressed. But to an extent, most especially in Taraba State, I can boast in Taraba State that to an extent, armed robbery has reduced, banditry has reduced. Now we get more afraid when we cross to Benue State. Yes, we all know it. But those days between here to Zing itself on its own, it's very dangerous.
So you agree that community engagement has contributed
It has
immensely
helped
to the success of curtailing it?
Yes, and government has really done a good job by providing the security personnel, just like you said, community. By working together with the community, they've been able to. If we can take a redress and take this all around the country, because I remember something that happened in Konduga. The military personnel entered and they were asking for information. And then the men told them something. They said, how do you think we're surviving? They're taking care of us. So they live among everybody. They are there. It's just like the way Israel and Hamas are, and Palestinians are having issues. Now Israel is saying, I don't care. I'm going to bomb since you guys cannot take the Hamas people out. And now the government of Palestine has agreed that take Hamas hands down now, finally, because the problem is getting too much. People are suffering and dying. That is what is happening in Nigeria in some areas. Every family member is looking for how to survive. They go to these people who are one way or the other funded, and then they join them. But if the community is not working together with the security, then definitely we cannot get it.
So which clearly says we still have a long way to go.
We have a long way to do, and a lot of negotiations have to be done to empower the communities so that the communities can be able to stay focused on what they are doing and not listen to these insurgents that are walking in to cause problems.
Thank you very much, Amos Paul. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your analytical observations. And viewer, it has been quite an engaging and sobering conversation, because insecurity is still a national challenge, but it is not unsolvable. With right policies, active citizens, and a justice-driven system, we can reclaim our communities and restore peace. Thank you so much for watching Frontline TV Breakfast Show, and we promise to come with another interesting package in no distant time. Stay safe, stay blessed. Musa Calvin is my name, your host, saying bye for now.